I mean, this is the
That's
kind of
gonna be one hell of a
stupid,
traffic jam.
ignorant, regressive mentality that basically will pull the country back into the dark ages.
Hello, namaste, namaste. And welcome to In Our Humble Opinion.
Ayo!
Can you all be a bit more enthusiastic?
Okay. One more time. 1, 2, 3.
Ayo!
That's better.
We're deafening ourselves with this.
Yeah.
Okay,
my ears nearly
welcome. I have with me my colleagues. On my right-hand side is our resident expert on just about everything. And we lovingly call him Prof. So here's Prof. Gilbert Cheah. And on my left-hand side is Chris Henson, who has broken his own bench press record this week. Bench pressing 117.5 kilos. And that's awesome for somebody like me. So well done, Chris.
You bench
Thank
press
you.
your weight.
Okay. And so,
You are so dead today.
All right.
You are so dead.
Come on,
okay,
clap for you.
guys, this is the week after Lunar New Year. Unfortunately, the Lunar New Year of the Ox will be remembered here in Singapore for a very tragic accident that took place on the second day of the Lunar New Year and took the lives of 5 people. Now, we are going to discuss what causes these insane accidents and the reasons for these tragedies. Is it about needing more traffic controls? Or is it just human behavior that we can't control? Whether it is speeding or whether it is this young girl who just ran into the flames to try to rescue her boyfriend. And talking about controls, we're also going to talk about the budget, which is all about seeking to control the pandemic. So what's hot and what's not? And finally, will we ever get to the bottom of where the pandemic originated? We're going to talk a little bit about that. But first, let's touch on the accident, which has caused so much strife. A white BMW with 5 young men was speeding down Tanjong Pagar and crashed into a shop house and then burst into flames. What was amazing that as the BMW was actually burning, this young lady rushes in to try to rescue her boyfriend from those flames and lands up herself getting 80% of burns. Well, whilst this is going on and whilst the final police report is yet to come, the social media is of course making their own judgment calls, some of which is directed at the recklessness of the driver, even going as far as to say maybe they deserve it. And some, of course, commending the fantastic behavior, the gallant behavior of this young lady. So I'm going to talk to my colleagues and ask them, what did they think about all this chatter on social media? Gilbert?
Okay. It's very obvious that a big chunk of the anger on social media obviously is about the dangerous behavior. But there's another component to this which I've observed. It is because it was a BMW. And it was these young guys. And you've noticed the same thing happened when that Ferrari crashed. You know, there have been other accidents.
Yeah,
there have been other
China,
accidents.
yeah.
There's something about people having fast cars. It brings up a certain kind of envy and ugliness in people, I think, which is not just here in Singapore. I think it happens a lot of places. But many of the comments online, if you actually look at them, do bring up the fact that it was a BMW, an expensive $400,000 if you buy a new BMW M4. These guys paid $200,000 for it. Still is beyond the reach of most Singaporeans. And there is definitely an element of resentment and anger when they perceive that wealthy people are behaving irresponsibly. And I think that it's very obvious also that the comments online, many of them are just nasty and malicious and totally uncalled for. Whether or not whatever you feel about the situation, you do not have to make nasty comments about these guys and their families and this girl, post laughing emoticons. I think this all shows a certain ugliness in people. And it really is just reprehensible.
Yeah.
I
but
think.
Gilbert,
Yeah.
there was, they do have a point when they talk about irresponsible because there is a lot of discussion that the car was souped up.
Is that true though? Do we have facts?
Well, that one.
I'm very
no,
cautious
again,
about
the
that.
police, the final report hasn't come, but the fact
Sure.
does remain that it was a coupe where 4 people should have been sitting, and instead there were 5 sitting. So the chances are that one person at the back at least did not have the seatbelt on.
But it wasn't the seatbelt that killed them, though.
No, I'm
The
sure.
lack of
But
seatbelt,
the point is that there is all this kind of discussion, and now we are talking about traffic control. Like, because of this one accident, we're going to have speed bumps down that road. The police are going to look at how to stop
I
this
hear
kind of
I hear
speeding.
smoke coming out of someone's ear, so let's
Yeah,
pass it
so
over
what
to
do
Chris
you think? What
to
do you
think
think,
about
Chris?
that.
No,
Chris.
I am talking about there was an element of irresponsibility. You can't
There's
run away
no
from
doubt
there.
about that.
Yeah, even if
there's
it's
no
a BMW.
doubt about that. Of course it is.
Okay.
The point basically is whether or not this
be
kind of
so
online
nasty.
vitriol and nastiness, and the call for the government to then, there's this one person, Chris saw the post too,
Call to-
where she said that, we should just ban cars from going faster than 80 kilometers an hour. All cars should be rigged so that they cannot go faster than 80 kilometers an hour. I mean, this is the
That's
kind
gonna
of
be one hell of a
stupid,
traffic jam.
ignorant, regressive mentality that basically will pull the country back into the dark ages.
Okay,
Chris,
agree.
your
Chris.
thoughts?
I'm so glad I let you guys talk first because you said quite a number of things that I would like to also address.
Absolutely.
One, was the car reconditioned, modified for that matter, with nitro? They call it nitro. It's illegal. Yeah.
That
You must remember, it's an M4 coupe. You just press on the M button and you fly.
Yeah, it's already such a powerful
Yeah,
car.
and the argument is that how did it set fire? I'm not going to make too many assumptions here because there have been cars exploding in Singapore, regardless.
Regardless, exactly.
And secondly, even if you were to set to 80 kilometers per hour, you rig cars at 80 kilometers per hour. Do you know that road hogs are equally as dangerous as those who speed? That is stupid. Okay? So get your shit together first before you make stupid online suggestions. Thirdly, I've got to finish this quickly then. There was a time along the same stretch of road that there was quite a bad accident as well. This Mercedes-Benz was crashing into several cars.
Yes.
And the guy was found, I don't know whether he died, the driver. And everybody was going at him. Oh, Mercedes drivers, all these rich people, they think they own the damn roads.
That's right.
He was having a damn heart attack.
Yep. Exactly.
Okay? So I just want to end this whole thing by talking about this. The girl is a hero. Stop making fun of her, you fuckwit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay?
Yep.
And not just that. She's a hero. She ran into a burning fire to try and save her fiancé and his friends. And she caught fire too.
Yep.
There were video footages that showed that she was like a lighted matchstick running across a freaking
Terrible.
road.
Terrible.
Okay? So stop making fun of her. Secondly, whether they were speeding, they were speeding fine.
Yeah.
But there is no confirmation till now if they were drunk or not.
Yep.
I might be wrong, okay? But then don't assume. Lastly, so we condemn their behavior, we do, about them speeding and or reckless driving. But please, for heaven's sake, empathize with the families.
Yep.
Because one of the fathers of one of the young men who died said that boy does not do anything like drink.
Yeah. Any of us could have
Not,
gotten into
no,
a
no,
car.
not just
them-
that. He was at the back of the car.
Yeah.
No, and in
He has
fact,
no
all
drive.
of them
He had
had
no
just
drive like.
finished doing volunteer work.
Yes,
before
and
they
he
just
didn't have
sat
a
in the
driving
car.
license either. Yeah, he just probably was asked, "Hey, sit down. Let me try out my new car. Sit in the back."
The report was they couldn't get a Grab, so they
Yeah,
get a
right.
ride.
You know,
Yep.
and
Taking a lift.
I think we should
literally.
stop this condemnation. You know,
Absolutely.
it's just rabid and it's
Yes,
vile.
it's toxic.
Okay,
It's vile.
It's
You
got.
know.
Please, these people, the families,
Yeah.
they're mourning.
Yeah. Those people making these comments, you should be so lucky that somebody would ever love you the way that this woman loved this guy.
Exactly.
You
So
know.
we're going to end on that
Yes.
note with this very positive feeling that yes, we are praying for her speedy recovery, and we just want to learn that what is this emotion which made her just go into the fire. Heck, that's one head of the emotion of love. Something to learn from as we move into our next topic is what you need to know about the budget 2021. So, did you think that the budget was spot on? What did you think was hot? What would you have liked to something special that you would have wanted the budget to be. And so we're going to get over to our resident expert, Gilbert.
Okay.
Budget time.
All right. Now we have 7 minutes to talk about this. I'm going to make this quick. As usual, the complaints online was that, hey, there's no money in this for me. Government not giving enough. And I would first like to address that national budgets are not Santa Claus. Country is not supposed to be there to give you hong baos every time. And that, in fact, this year we are going to be running another budget deficit because of the amount of spending we're going to be doing. It is estimated at 2.2% of GDP, compared to last year, which was 13.9%. But obviously, the last deficit, a percentage of GDP. But that was because last year was obviously a very extraordinary case where you needed to save the country from collapsing into the COVID hole, right? So, in total, they are drawing on past reserves to the tune of $53.7 billion, which is a lot of money. And I think the focus on this year's budget, which is very clear, is that they're moving away from just providing goodies to people to help them overcome the economy, but the government is actually now addressing structural changes in the economy. Because you see, what's happened is that even before COVID, Singapore was already changing from going from one kind of an economy that was in manufacturing and tech into an information economy. And so a lot of companies needed to actually upgrade itself. A lot of companies needed to do digital transformation, and they could not do it. They could not do it because cost is a very big factor. You need to retrain people. You need to change your IT infrastructure. So the government, this year's budget is really putting money into that. So, you have to get away from this mentality of thinking, what is in the budget for me? But look at what is in the budget for the country. This is absolutely the kind of budget that we need because Singapore has to move forward. I'll tell you this. You give a man a fish, he will eat for a day. You teach him to fish, he will eat for a lifetime. We've all heard that saying before, right?
And we've mentioned it here in the program.
And this is what the government is doing. It is trying to retrain people. It's trying to get companies to move into structural changes for the good of the future of Singapore.
Gilbert, I totally agree because I feel it's the philosophy of the budgets that we need to focus on.
Yes.
To control the pandemic, to grow the economy, but more importantly, have a future vision in investing in a lifestyle future for Singapore with a green plan. Because I loved the green plan to live healthy, smart, and productive lives.
Yeah, but that's one side of the
ahead.
thing. Yes,
it is looking ahead.
Definitely, company transformation and education is very important.
Chris, what do you think about the GST? Increase in GST. That's one of the topics that does come up on the chat.
I hear what Gilbert said, and of course I know the reasons behind why we need to have this. Don't get me the wrong way. I'm not also looking towards any handouts. But not everyone in this country are self-sustainable. Okay? Not everyone in this country with kids to feed and raise, right, will actually be able to just easily ride through.
Oh, of course. But they've not removed the safety nets.
Hang on, let me finish. I don't mean the lower income. There are people who are sandwiched between the demands of their aging parents and their growing children. That's a sandwich generation. There are people who are in the middle income trap. Okay? They are the ones that's going to really be biting the bullet. People like me, maybe, perhaps. Yeah? Wait, hang on. We have only 7 minutes. I let you guys talk so I can have the final say. When it comes to the green movement moving forward, right? The need to just like that raise petrol prices. What do you think? Everyone's just going to be selling the IBC, or rather the internal combustion ICE cars just like that, so you can buy an electric one. I mean, give me a break, dude. Doesn't work so easy like that. Yeah, I'm for electric cars. But charging points and all that are not all just the infrastructure.
We don't have that.
But Chris, I just want to say, I think we've come to this point in Singapore. It's a bit of a dilemma. What do we really mean by these people actually need the money? This word need is now being debated upon, because when you turn around and say, there are people who are upset with the petrol prices going up. On one side, the government is trying to make people use public transport. Now, everybody who's talking about this, they have their cars, they're used to driving their cars, they don't want to go into public transport, well, then that's the idea of increasing that money and increasing the price of petrol.
Yeah.
And so I think personally, before we move on, I feel that it's become more of every Singaporean wants to maintain their lifestyle, wants to even better it. And if there isn't something for them which might help them to better it, they feel a bit maybe not so happy.
Who wants to lower the lifestyle?
Yeah,
No,
of course.
but
To begin
at
with.
a time like this in a pandemic, that is not what is foremost
But this
on
thing
the
here,
mind,
Daisy,
right?
this thing here has nothing to do with the pandemic, though.
Exactly.
The gasoline increase. It really is part of that future forward
public-
thing.
yeah, but we're
where
talk- the
they are
green
saying,
Singapore.
No, I hear you both actually. I
Yeah,
mean,
the
I
green
drive. I'm not
Singapore.
happy about the petrol increase at all. And I do think that sometimes the problem is that they are ahead of themselves. That before they give people real alternatives, they already do the punitive side of it to try and move. Yeah,
exactly
that's-
what I'm unhappy about. The principle behind the way it's done.
Yeah.
On top of that, just one last thing. I wish and I hope that for all of my friends in the nightlife and entertainment sectors, something would be done to help them. What has been done? Nothing was announced again
But
yesterday.
it was announced to
hang
say
on.
they are going to come up with...
You're talking about the self-employed thing, right? The surge scheme. We talked about this a couple of episodes ago.
That's over already, though. That doesn't exist
yeah,
anymore.
exactly. So now, what's being done to help these people?
Did they announce that they're going to do something
but-
for nightlife
No,
industry?
but they haven't forgotten the arts and sports.
Arts and
that has
sports.
been... There has money
Entertainment
allocated,
is separate.
which keeps
I
our
think the
bodies
key,
and
basically,
souls
to address
refreshed.
your point, Keith and Chris, and I think I hope I'm right about this, is that as the pandemic gets under control, they will be able to reopen the nightlife.
Absolutely, they will.
I hope that's the thing.
No, but
that's
wasn't
a big
that on the
Meanwhile-
cards and then they pulled
because
it
they
back?
had to pull it back.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, there are families who are suffering. Let me tell you, just before we end this, before the producer shows us any, we got to move on now. Just one last thing. I had a friend who passed away a couple of weeks ago. He's in the events industry. We're doing great. Left behind 3 kids. Okay, died of a cardiac arrest. Stressed out, I tell you. I'm pretty sure. And these people have families too, right? So what I'm saying is not enough is being done. They're like an afterthought. No one thinks for these guys. And if I have
They
to
are
be the one to say it
non-essential.
somehow, excuse me? If I have to say this somehow for anybody who thinks they're non-essential,
No, but that's what
ought
came
to be
out in the
shaven bald
survey.
and hung upside down by the damn little toe.
Chris,
Oh, okay.
that's
but
what
anyway,
came out in the
we
survey,
didn't-
if
we
you
didn't-
remember.
okay, we
Actors
didn't-
I
were
know.
non-essential.
Yeah, we talked about that on my
Yeah,
show.
yeah.
Anyway, moving along now.
Yes.
I've talk about the confusion that's happening in the Doctor Who,
Yeah. Whose mission to China?
WHO.
Yes, tell us about
Yeah.
whose mission to
I mean,
China.
it's becoming like a freaking, movie drama, TV drama, man. Right? That's why I said Doctor Who. The people, they are saying, they are attesting, right, that the Chinese have not been really upfront with them. They have not given them raw data to analyze, which is so important, yeah? But there are some parts of the WHO that, in the team that said that, we got what we need.
Yes.
So right now, we just don't know what is what, right? That did it really originate from China? Chances are, yes, chances are. But did it come from the marketplace? Did it originate from an animal, or from frozen, from the cold chain, or frozen meats, and could it even have come from that? Nobody now knows. So basically, some segments of the WHO are saying, they haven't been helpful at all. I mean, they delayed us going
Some
in.
of the members who went to China and other members completely contradicted that and said, no, we got everything that we needed.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I think the problem is, I think people were expecting a fast and definitive answer, and
Yeah.
there is no fast and definitive answer
Yeah.
in epidemiology. That's
But it is,
the reality
I
of
think,
it.
really essential to understand so that this does not happen again.
No, but
ever.
Daisy, no, that's impossible. The reason, knowing how it started is not going to prevent it from happening again, because there is no one answer to it. So let's say, for example, we find out it did originate in China and it came from, let's say, the seafood market because they had bats or whatever it
Yeah,
is.
they
If
were
you look
talking
at
about
other
bats.
diseases that are spread in other countries, it's happening in the Brazilian rainforest. It's happening all over the world. The encroachment of human beings into animal populations, into nature, is causing this.
Okay.
So I don't think we need to be so hung up about the definitive answer of where this came from, even though it would be great to know. I think the answer is to really address how we can stop encroaching into animal populations anywhere.
But you know,
I-
Gilbert,
I-
I think they're looking into discovering who patient zero truly is. And that's so
That's-
important for epidemiology,
No,
isn't it?
It's no, only if it's a sexually transmitted disease like HIV.
Well,
In
Not
this-
true.
No.
For SARS, we were also looking for patient zero in Singapore, if I
just
recall
have
correctly.
One request I have is that whatever happens, the process does not get politicized.
Yeah.
Yes.
It-
But
you
you see,
know.
the thing is this, okay? Let's say they find out who patient zero is, they're still not going to necessarily know how that person contracted it. You see, that's the thing. So I'm less concerned about this, even though it's interesting.
It's important.
It's more important moving forward, what do we do? Because there will always be more viruses out there. And the majority of these viruses come from the animal kingdom before they come to human beings, you see.
Correct.
So in any part of the world, whenever we're encroaching into animal territory, we need to be aware that there is a possibility of this.
But the moment there was a hypothesis that it could be from bats, they did clear up their markets. They did make, there was a ban on selling
Sure.
bats.
Not a pangolin?
I mean,
you see, we don't
whatever,
know.
the pangolin, yeah.
Regardless of
But-
the animal or whatever
but
it
at
is,
least-
this kind of wildlife trade needs to
Means
stop. That's
Well, yeah.
Well said.
yeah,
That's
you know.
important.
So
yes, yes.
that's a key thing. And I also think it's important to be said that there is politicization of this because I got to speak slower, because it's China, and China triggers a lot of people. There are people
because-
who are pro-China, people who are against China, and they all have their agendas
Correct.
and misinformation that is spread
And
based on this.
Somehow there's always this feeling that China is hiding something. Whether it's right or wrong, the
But
whole...
that is part of the whole
political-
politicization
correct,
of it,
correct,
right? You
correct,
think the
correct.
United States doesn't hide things?
Oh, everybody does.
Right.
But because
think
China
Israel
is a
doesn't hide
superpower
things?
right now.
Saudi Arabia doesn't
And,
hide
you know-
things?
Do you think Daisy doesn't hide things?
Oh
Right.
dear, should we move on to ending the
quickly.
show?
Okay, that would be me, right?
Yes.
Okay. So I've been given the honor and pleasure to close the show, this
Yes.
episode. And I'll do it this way, okay? Let's start with Gilbert. Gilbert, do you have any final words?
Okay. This again ties in with what I've said in so many months of this show, is that take into account how other people's thinking and other people's feeling is before you pass judgment, especially online. I think that it is a very toxic, easily toxic environment. You spread misery, and you obviously are a miserable person if you need to go online and become that kind of toxic personality. So shame on you, those of you who have been posting this kind of stuff online. It says a lot more about you as a person, and you people really need to sort of, improve your own lives before you point the fingers at other people online. And in the end, it is all about being kind. So
And if you continue doing that, I tell you, your tete will itch for 365 days.
Okay, and I'm going to say that as we go through today's topics, we realize how much chatter there is on social media, whether it's about the accident, whether it's the budget, whether it's conspiracy theories about China and Wuhan, and it just goes on. And we have to constantly remind ourselves about what writer David Levitan said, his words. It's a highly deceptive world, one that constantly asks you to comment, but then doesn't really care what you have to say. So let's be accurate and prudent with whatever comments we choose to make about life in our wonderful, interesting world. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Daisy and Gilbert. Man, you guys have convinced me over the last couple of days to write certain things.
Yes.
Instead of doing a song quote, I'm not going to do that anymore.
Yes.
So I wrote something.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to call this, every time when I end my part of each episode, it's going to be called Chris's Ditties.
Yes. Do it again. Let's see the
Ditties.
Close
With a
up.
D, yeah?
Chris's Ditties.
Ditties.
D for
How do you pronounce that
Daisy.
again? Okay, one more time.
Da.
Chris's Ditties.
A
Okay,
D for
now
Daisy.
Ditty,
Okay, come on,
right?
come on.
Okay.
Start.
Ditties are supposed to be fun, but unfortunately, because of this heavy topic today, sadly, I couldn't find it myself to
Yeah.
write something funny. So I wrote this instead. So this is what I have to say. This is about the 5 lives lost. Yeah. 5 young lives. Hot-blooded, but promising. gone in an instant. Devastation so horrifying. That story that is still unfolding. But nothing more horrific than the kotes so myopic, spewing admonishment and bile, assuming just by the optics, spreading a fire that engulfed the families, grieving loss of their sons, just adding to more painful memories. From this story had arisen an act of love so greatly brazen. She ran to the blazing wreck, her lover screaming. She tried to help, but herself body burning. Surely more goodness must come of this, of people in community, reaching out more lovingly. Hold the hearts of their loved ones. A word, a thought, some form of remedy. To feel their pain and understand the gravity. We are Singapore. We are more. We reach out. Each other we can do without. With each other, never should there be doubt. We must do better. And with that, this is this episode
A long.
We're like, okay.
of In Our Humble Opinion. You can catch this episode again on YouTube and Facebook from now on. And you can also listen to us eventually for this episode on Spotify and iTunes. Until the next show, stay safe, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.